In the meantime, though, you know, there's always something to be done. So I printed off, I knew I wanted extra copies of some of these. I printed off the rest of my porch prints, one of the parts of the journal kit, and some extra pages from it to the customized size of my dad's book. I'll put a picture here so you can see exactly my printer settings. When I bring it up in the PDF, my printer queue opens and I set certain things. I pick the custom size that I created. I pick scale, fill entire page, or something like that, so that it fills that entire measurement that I picked, and I print it just on normal paper. Now comes the big fun, tedious part of tearing off, and this is why I 99% of the time print borderless, because the tediousness of taking this white border off of here makes me crazy. I've said it before, I'll say it again 1,000 times. I'd like to print it borderless, full size, 8.5 by 11 letter size. And that way, all I have to do is fold it in half and I have my page. But since I'm doing an altered book and I need it to fit, where's our first one? I need it to fit a certain space. I'll lose a lot if I print borderless like I normally do on a full-size sheet. I would lose all this beautiful aging that my Porch Prints has worked so hard to put in here for me, and I love the way it looks. I could also I have a beautiful guillotine cutter. I could do that, but then I would get straight edges, just sharp, clean edges, and I don't want that either. So I have to do it the old-fashioned way. Now, usually I just use a regular metal ruler, but I do have these Dollar Tree rulers, 3 for $1. I took my Dremel tool to them and a box cutter and made different edges. I'm going to use the random one. This I believe I did with a box cutter, and I just cut here and there one way, flipped it over, cut again the other way, just to get different marks so that it looks torn rather than, I guess I just don't want it to be too clean of an edge. Plus, this clear plastic ruler, I can see, because I want it right up to that edge, I can see through it, so I know what I'm cutting off. And I will lose just a teensy tiny bit of color here and there. And that edge pretty well mimics the torn edge that is already in place via ink. I just think that's a really cool look. So that is what I'm going to do to all of these. Slow and steady, this process. I just don't understand people who are okay with doing this for every single project, every single time. I just can't get my head around that at all. Because this is tedious. Even if I was taking, well, if I took my box cutter and my metal ruler and did the whole stack of them all at once, it wouldn't take nearly as long. But because I want that nice decally edge. Now see, I left too much white on this one. I can't re-tear it. I have some options. I can ink it, which I will do. I can take my little scissors, or even my big scissors, or my teeny tiny scissors. But I have this handy dandy Tim Holtz tool. It's just a round blade in here. And you just kind of run it along. It's designed to rough up straight edges. There's too much on there. So what I'm going to do is take my scissors. Can you see what I'm talking about? And I just like making no sense at all because you can't see it. Tiny little bit of white. Tiny little bit of white left. Again, I can ink it. But there are other options. If you have too much to ink and not enough to tear, you can cut it off, and I'll kind of not cut it straight. I'm putting the paper in the corner there where my scissors come together and just kind of tearing it off, which is essentially what this thing is. I just have a better handle on it. I can control this better and take off more because I can go ahead and snip it, cut it if I want. So I'm mixing cutting and pulling, tearing, just to get that extra bit of white off of there and leave that torn edge. Because ideally, I don't want to ink these at all because, again, my Porch Prints has put a lot of time and effort into grunging up those edges for me. If I don't tear it right, then I gotta go back in here. And so this is a good lesson. Make sure to take off, even if you have to take off a teensy bit more, it's better to have a little bit less than have to do this every time, because who needs that? You see that white edge? I still may have to ink it a little bit, but I can do that all at once rather than one page at a time. I'd like to get this done this year. That's the goal. And you see that tiny little bit I took off, but it makes a big difference. You don't want that screaming bright white on your super vintagey looking project. I gotta keep track of these. You're using these cheap rulers because there is nothing to this. It's almost paper thin. We'll try and see how it goes. Sometimes I do this, but again, I want to see how much I'm tearing. But because this has a gripper and some weight to it, sometimes I use this as sort of an anchor. And once you get your rhythm, you know, you just go to town. But I want to figure out the fastest way to do the best job, because I don't want to be doing this for the next 6 hours. I don't want to be doing this at all, but look at me go. That didn't really help. It kind of slowed things down, so we're gonna go back to the... It's so hard when you have just a tiny little bit to grab hold of. I cut that little piece off and I'm just going to rough it up with those scissors. That's all. Those rough edges take inking really, really well. Let's see if I can somehow speed this process up. Can I do 2 at a time? I don't know. This ruler's pretty weak. We'll see. Beautiful. Now we're cooking. I always say, put the ruler on the tiny end because it's that much easier and faster. Why wasn't I doing this in the first place? I worry about me sometimes. I really do. I gotta get out more often. Maybe, I don't know. I gotta use my head more because that was way faster, way easier. And what I normally do, I always put the small end under the ruler because it's easier to grab on. Oh my God. Send help. The nice young men in their clean white coats. Coming to take me away. Ha ha.
And the days got worse and worse, and now you see I've gone completely out of my mind. And they're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. And I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and they're coming to take me away, ha ha.
Hee hee. But see, then that happens because I wasn't holding it all the way. You know, why do I set myself up for shit like this? I don't know. When I do that, sometimes it helps me to come at it from the other end. It's going to slip off again. Usually I'm a big advocate of doing everything, doing all the tearing and then going back and clipping and then inking it all at the same time rather than tear one, clean up one, ink one, because that takes way, way, way longer. But I'm afraid if I don't catch these right away, I will miss them. So, here we go again. I think again, like Miss Julia Childs, you just gotta go. You can't be pussyfooting around all the time. You just gotta hold on tight, and give her. 2.
7 flowers.
All right, excellent. We have 3. Oh my God. Shall I try for 3? I think 3 is going to be too much. But I didn't think 2 would work. So let's try. Important to get them all lined up so you're not tearing one properly and one leaving a whole bunch of white. I want them to be crooked. Oh! Took a chunk out. Did it again. Did it again. You can see I took the chunk out there. That's not good. You got to keep the ruler straight. There's some white stuff here that has to go away. Some crumbs that need to disappear. Ruler is slippery. I have to see if I can find something to stick on there so it's sticky, taggy, but not sticky. All right, I'm going to tear the rest of these up and I'll be right back. I have them all done. I printed a few more. I counted approximately how many pages I'm going to use, and I decided instead of using my coffee dyed paper, which this particular graph paper, you can see the text through, and I don't want that for this project. Usually I love that, but for this project, I didn't want that. So I printed quite a few extras of these lined blank pages. And some of the lighter ones. So if he wants to write on them, he can. And they have these, the deckled edges came out beautifully. Although those of you with sensitive ears and a low tolerance for profanity, you can thank me now for shutting the camera off, because there was some swearing going on. And not just F-bombs. No, it went beyond F-bombs. So, again, you're welcome. I like to try to ink en masse rather than one page at a time. Again, I'm all about the fewer steps, the better. And why do things 187 different times if you can do it in one? Did I get them all? Did I get them all perfect? No, probably not. But holy smokes, there's a lot less to do if I decide to do individual pages. Right? See how fast that was? That was beautiful. Let's just check them out. And all I'm really trying to do is mask that super white edge. Because she's already done this stuff for me on the inside. Not on these blank ones. So on the blank ones, I may dirty them up just a little bit. I may just do that. But again, if I can get it done faster, quicker, all at once, I'm going to at least try. Because that'll save me quite a bit of time. Because don't you know, parents are coming over in about an hour. This book is not going to be anywhere near done. I was hoping to have this one at least put together. You know, because I didn't know Father's Day was coming. I had other stuff to do. I'm busy all the time. Blah, blah, blah. The truth be told, I didn't know what I wanted. And that's a good lesson. I have to keep reminding myself to just start. That old saying, ready, fire, aim, right? Just start and self-direct as you go, or self-correct as you go. You'll figure out the way, but if you try to figure out every detail before you even start, you never start. You never start. So I wanted to do this. This is my Sunday project, but I'm cooking dinner, so I've got meal prep. I'm having everybody over for dinner, so I got house cleaning. I'm sure they'd appreciate it if I showered. You know, the holiday kind of stuff. You can see how lots of white is in there, so I'm just gonna get my ink in there as best I can. And the white, once you start grunging it up, the white ones tend to stick out like sore thumbs. So I can just go in and pick those out. There's that part of it. I'm also a big believer, and I said it earlier, I'm a big believer in production line thing. Print them all, trim them all. Next will be fold them all. fold them in half to get that crease this way, because the crease is going to go in. So fold them this way. I'm going to try to get that crease in the center the best I can. That faux crease I want in the real crease of the book. So that'll be the next thing. And I have not yet glued my pages, pockets together. But this has dried nicely. Do you see most all of the waving has come out? It's still pretty damp on the top and the bottom because those were the last parts that I did. But you see this, the edge is nice and dry and straight. So letting that dry was a good idea. And again, I'm just going to fold these in half and glue them in once. So next step is folding these and then gluing my pockets together, my pages together. Everywhere I tore out pages, I'm going to glue those together and make a pocket. So I'll be back and we'll do that together. So I've been working away at it, and I figured I should probably give you an update of what I'm doing and what I've done and where I'm headed. I went through with this 15/16 inch stamp. Not a stamp. This is a punch. One day, I'll get the two right the first time. Today is not that day. I started at the back. I have two top pockets in the back, and the rest are all front side loading pockets to make it easy. So I started at the back, and I just came through and used it upside down and partially punched something to delineate that there's a pocket, like a thumb hole, but not round. I did all of those, and now I am gluing the pockets together. And I'm working randomly because I don't want it to get kittywampus. This is my dad's patriotic book. I just wanted to remind everyone that that's what I'm working on, using a kit from My Porch Prints, grungy patriotic kit. But I have this stretchy book cover on because I'm working with coffee, I'm working with glue, and I'm just trying to protect the cover. Another thing that I did do is I took my Stabilo water-soluble black pencil and went into the creases of the pages that I don't think are going to have kit pages on. Used my water brush and my coffee paint. Instead of just clear water, I used this dark coffee to run along and grunge that up. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to make more coffee. Look at the bottom of the, running into the bottom of the barrel here. And my water brush is empty. What a place to start a craft room. Okay. So I just made some marks. It's still wet. Just made some marks down in there just to grunge that up. And then instead of using clean, clear water to soften those marks, I used this coffee. Bringing it out, just making a mess because this is an old, vintage, grungy, has been around a long time book. So I did that in the front and the back. Once I had all of these tabs punched, then I took a piece of scrap paper and grunged up all of the edges so that it's clear that this is a pocket. I may even put some sort of washi tape or something to further delineate it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have a lot of that going on. I'm just kind of feeling my way through this. One thing that I've started doing is bending these a little bit because I just like that look. I've seen it on some Tim Holtz make examples when he does his live streams, when he does a lot of makes. I think I've seen Louisa Heinzel roll up the pages on some of her projects, and I really like that look, especially for this project. So what I'm doing now is gluing the pockets together. Front page of the pocket, here's where I took out 5 pages. This is the back of the pocket. And I turn it sideways. And to be honest, I did not check and see what kind of binding this has. I don't know if it's glued. I don't know if it's sewn. I still haven't looked. I don't know. When I tore the pages out, a lot of the pages stayed. And that's okay, because I think it gives it stability and strength without the bulk. So as I'm gluing this, I have to keep reminding myself these are sideways pockets, because twice now I've glued the side shut and left a top opening. So I had to get a wet wipe and wipe off the glue. Do over. So I keep telling myself side pocket, side pocket. But what I'm also doing is taking a little bit of this art glitter glue and just putting it down in that spine in those pages, because I think that will glue those pages together, and the glue is going to go down into the spine. It's gluing those remnants of pages together, and I think that will give it more stability. And then I go through with my tiny little bead of art glitter glue. And I'm not going all the way up to the top. I'm leaving just a little bit, because I think it'll be easier to get stuff in and out that way. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. We just don't talk about it openly. And then I bring that page forward, and I again let the book do the work, close it, run my finger along, and just to see, like, the art glitter glue is really good about, if you place it properly and not too much of it, there's very little seepage, because you don't want to glue all your pages together. I think folding these corners over also helps delineate that there's a pocket here. And I was thinking, once I get it glued, then I just smooth it out. Give it a little tug upward, smooth it out. Because the book's now already decided where the page should lay. I'm just helping it along. But what I'm trying to do here is not only make it nice and grungy, because that's the look that I'm going for, and that's the reason I bought the kit I did, and I just have this sort of vision in my head now. I didn't when I started. But the gifts that I've given so far, this is the first one I've done for a guy. All the girls are too afraid to use them. They're too pretty. I don't know what to do with them. They're too pretty. And so they just sit beautifully displayed. They're putting them out like tchotchke, you know, or miniature little artworks or whatever. They have them out on display, but nobody's using them. They don't know what to do with, even though I did give them a letter about all of that, you know, all the different ways to use a junk journal. For my dad, this altered book is going to be, I want him to use it as a commonplace book, a tuck book, smash book light, if you will. That's why all the pockets. If you find something cool, you can just stick it in here. Of course, finding it later is probably going to be a problem, but that's not my problem. Putting in pictures or quotes, having places to jot ideas, or just the more they add to it, just makes it more of a beautiful thing. It's like building a beautiful, beautiful, warm, clean, open, sunshiny home that nobody lives in. Just sits there. And everybody says, wow, that's a pretty house. I'd like to live there. And nobody does. How sad is that? That's, once we gift them or sell them or give them away or whatever we do with these projects, it's completely out of our hands what those people do with them after they receive them. Our hope is that they find, at least my hope is that they find use of it. And I'd love to see him take this to his Masons meetings and jot notes in here. In fact, I'm thinking about, I took so many pages out of here. I'm pretty sure I could put a traveler's notebook in here. I could make this a sort of a 3-in-1. In fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure. That way he can write in it and not worry about ruining the book, because he can take that traveler style notebook in and out. We'll see. But I'm bouncing around in my book while gluing my pages. I'm not sure that this is a thing or not, but when people do glue books, they work in the front and then in the back and then in the middle and then in the somewhere in the back center. They hop around in order to not break the spine or get the spine so out of balance because there's so much in the front that it breaks the back. I don't know if that matters when there's not much there and I'm not putting stuff in, I'm just putting things together. But I figured it can't hurt to hop around, so I am hopping around. So these first few pages aren't pocket. Oh, I guess there is a pocket right there. There's our first one in the front. So again, just a little bit down in here. I'm not being terribly precise. I'm going on either side of the, if I can get to it, either side of the pages. And just gluing that together. This is a side pocket, side pocket, side pocket. So we leave the side open. Trying to be consistent about how heavy of how wide my glue line is, so the pockets are approximately the same size, but I'm not being that precise. So I'm gonna pull this page forward a little bit. I just pulled that toward the outside of the book, away from the spine. Close it up. Let that page go where that page is going to naturally go. And once it's there, then I do my little... And to me, that's just smushing around that bead of glue. And if I leave those... if I leave these open like I have been, these can roll over too and just be all kinds of grunged up, and that's pretty cool. You know, grungier the better. And I'm just going to find another pocket that needs to be glued. Glue down on the spine, in between what's left of the pages if possible. Side pocket, side pocket, side pocket, side pocket, side pocket. As it closes, the whole thing moves outward from the spine. When you close the book, it moves naturally. I think that too will make it stronger in that you're not forcing something that doesn't come naturally to how the book opens and closes. That could all be in my head. I could just be making stuff up. But if it makes sense to me, well, then that's what I have to do. One more. And then I'll go do this by myself. reason I'm pulling the top one is because it has that little thumb hole in it, and it's just really easy to get a hold of and get my hands out of the way. This is fun because I have no idea which one I just glued, so sometimes there'll be a teeny little drop of glue, and that'll be a giveaway. Teeny little drops of glue, so I know which ones I just did. I can go back and find them and get that off of there. So again, you don't want to glue all your pages together. Dab off any little bits of glue if they seep out. Then I will fold my pages. I'm going to try something with these. With these that have the faux crease, what I thought I would do is try to use the book as a scoring tool. I don't know. We'll try this live on camera. I don't know if it's going to work or not. But I really want this faux crease to be in the real crease. And so, can I score it? Thusly. And it's 2 pages put together. It's not technically a crease in the design. It's 2 old pieces of paper laying next to each other, so it's not technically a crease. So they're not always straight, and it's by design. It doesn't have to be straight. But now that that's got a bit of a score in it, I'm going to try not to fight it too much, even though it's off kilter. It's off kilter, number one, the line's not straight in that fake crease or where the 2 pieces of old paper meet. Number 2, if you remember my tearing issues, they're not all straight. Sometimes I lost a big chunk, and so they're not going to be straight when I use that score that I just lightly put in there. And now creasing it. See how off it is? If I just folded it in half, I would be off quite a bit. But now hopefully that will fit. Oopsie, that'll fit right in there. So far, so good. Oh, I just love how these mimic each other. It's not exact or perfect, but it is pretty damn cool, if I say so myself. So it's coming along. I'm going to glue my pages, use my book as a scoring tool, score them, fold them, and then start gluing the pages in, and it'll start to come to life before our eyes. It'll be fabulous, and I will bring you along with me for that part. Be back in a bit.